The dining room at my parents' suburban home fell silent except for the gentle clink of silverware against china. I'm Michael Sullivan, 34, and until this moment I'd been the family's designated underachiever. The quiet one. The one who just couldn't get ahead. At least that's what they thought. My brother Peter, 38, sat across from me in his expensive suit, radiating the confidence of someone who'd never faced consequences. Mom beamed at him with pride while Dad nodded approvingly at everything he said. The beachfront property is perfect for my new venture, Peter announced, cutting into his steak. High-end vacation rentals. I've already got investors lined up. I took a slow sip of water watching him lie with practiced ease. The same lies he'd been telling for years, growing bolder with each success. Michael hardly uses it anyway. Mom added, reaching for the wine. Just sitting there empty most of the year. Such a waste. My $670,000 beachfront property in Ocean Grove. The home I'd purchased through years of careful saving and investment. The sanctuary they thought I'd bought through dumb luck in crypto. You're right, Mom, I said quietly. Let's talk about waste. Peter's fork paused halfway to his mouth. Look, if you're going to be difficult about this. Difficult. I connected my phone to the dining room's smart TV. No, I'm being helpful. In fact, I've got some interesting footage to share about your new venture. Dad frowned. Michael, this isn't the time for actually, Dad. This is exactly the time. I pressed play. The screen lit up with security camera footage from my beach house. There was Peter leading a group of rough-looking men through the property 3 days ago. I'd installed the cameras after noticing signs of attempted break-ins. As soon as my idiot brother signs it over, Peter's voice rang clear through the TV speakers. We'll gut the place. Convert it to units. The insurance scam alone will net us $500,000. Mom's wine glass froze halfway to her lips. Peter, what is this? I switched to another clip, this one from yesterday. Peter again, this time with a known local criminal discussing how to make the property's accident look convincing. The best part is, Peter was saying, Michael's so desperate for family approval he'll sign anything Mom puts in front of him. We'll have the deed by next week. Dad stood up abruptly. Turn it off. Why? I kept my voice calm. There's plenty more. Like the clip where Peter explains how he's been forging my signature on loan documents. Or the one where he details his plans to use the property for money laundering. You've been spying on me? Peter's face had turned an interesting shade of red. No, I've been protecting my property. And gathering evidence. Evidence? Mom whispered. I pulled out a folder. Bank records. Loan applications. Proof of insurance fraud from your last 3 business ventures. The police are very interested in all of it. The room exploded into chaos. Mom started crying, Dad demanded explanations. And Peter just stared at me with cold calculation. Probably already planning his next move. You don't understand. He started, his voice taking on that smooth, persuasive tone he used on investors. This is all a misunderstanding. Like the misunderstanding with the Thompson family restaurant. I cut him off. The one you convinced Dad to help you buy, then stripped of assets and left them bankrupt. Dad's face paled. How did you? Or maybe like the misunderstanding with Sarah's college fund. I continued. The one that mysteriously disappeared after Peter invested it. Our sister Sarah wasn't here tonight. She was working double shifts at a diner, still trying to pay off the student loans she'd needed after her fund vanished. I paid that back. Peter protested. No, you gave her fake investment certificates. Just like the ones you've been giving all your other victims. Mom's hands were shaking. Victims. 37 so far. I pulled up another document. All people who trusted the Sullivan name. All people you've stolen from systematically over the past 5 years. You can't prove any of this. Peter said, but his confidence was cracking. Actually, I can. See, while you all thought I was failing at life, I was building a career. Those crypto gains that bought the beach house. That was my cover story. I showed them my FBI badge. I've been investigating financial crimes for the past 8 years. Specifically, family-based fraud schemes. The silence that followed was deafening. The surveillance team outside has everything, I continued. They've been watching for weeks. Recording every meeting, tracking every transaction. Dad slumped in his chair. My God, Peter, what have you done? What you taught me to do. Peter exploded. Always take advantage. Always look for the angle. Isn't that what you preached? I never meant, you meant exactly this. I interrupted. You just didn't expect to get caught. Mom tried one last time. Michael, we're family. We can fix this internally. Like you fixed it when Peter stole Sarah's future. Or when he bankrupted the Thompsons. Or maybe like how you fixed it every time he got in trouble and you made excuses. The sound of cars pulling up outside broke the tension. Peter bolted for the back door but didn't make it. The arrest was quick, professional. Mom sobbed as they led him away. The property documents, Dad said quietly after the police left. The ones your mother had drawn up for the transfer. Will be evidence. I stood up. Along with the recording of Peter admitting insurance fraud. You've destroyed this family, Mom accused through tears. No, I corrected her. I've exposed what was already destroyed. The family you're mourning never really existed. It was just a cover for Peter's crimes and your willful blindness. I gathered my things, pausing at the door. Sarah's coming over tomorrow. The FBI wants to discuss repayment of her college fund. You might want to be here for that conversation. Michael. Dad called after me. The beach house is being converted into a support center for fraud victims. I smiled slightly. Seems fitting, don't you think? As I drove away, my phone buzzed with messages from the FBI team. Subject in custody. Additional evidence recovered. Well done, Agent Sullivan. I turned onto the highway, heading toward the beach house. The moon cast silver light across the water, reminding me of why I'd bought the place. Not as a status symbol or investment, but as a reminder that some things, like truth and justice, are constant, no matter how much others try to corrupt them. My real boss at the FBI, Director Thompson, yes, those Thompsons, texted, heard about your brother. Tough case. You okay? Family should mean accountability, I replied. That's what I learned from your parents, after what Peter did to them. The investigation was far from over. Peter's schemes had tentacles reaching into several states. But for now, I had done what needed to be done. Sometimes protecting family means protecting others from them. The morning after Peter's arrest, I sat in my beach house, watching the sunrise over the ocean. My phone had been buzzing non-stop with messages from relatives I hadn't heard from in years. Amazing how a fraud arrest makes everyone want to reconnect. A knock at the door interrupted my thoughts. Sarah stood there, looking tired but determined. At 32, my younger sister had the worn look of someone who'd aged before their time. You could have told me, she said, walking past me into the house. I couldn't risk compromising the investigation. She nodded, taking in the ocean view. All those times you tried to warn me about Peter's investment opportunities you already knew. Didn't you? I suspected. But I needed proof. Sarah pulled out a worn envelope. Remember this? Peter's letter promising to triple my college fund if I just trusted him with the investment. She laughed bitterly. Mom and Dad were so proud of him for helping me. The FBI recovered most of your money, I told her. It was in one of his offshore accounts. I don't want it. She turned to face me. Use it for the victims center. Maybe it can help someone else avoid my mistakes. My secure phone buzzed. Director Thompson. Your brother's talking. Claims Mom and Dad were more involved than we thought. Sarah read the message over my shoulder. Were they? Let's find out. I pulled up the security footage I hadn't shown at dinner. Mom and Dad in Peter's office, reviewing documents, discussing cleanup strategies. They knew, Sarah whispered. They knew everything. Not everything, but enough. I started the coffee maker. They'll be arrested this morning. God, Michael. Sarah sank into a chair. How did we not see this coming? We saw what they wanted us to see. The successful son, the proud parents, the perfect family. My phone rang, Agent Martinez. My second in command. Boss, we found something in your parents' safe. Looks like records going back 20 years. Peter wasn't the first. I put the phone on speaker. What do you mean? Your father's been running similar schemes since the 90s. Peter learned from the master. Sarah's face crumpled. Dad's country club investments. The charity foundation Mom ran. Were any of them real? We'll find out, I promised. The next few hours were a blur of activity. More arrests, more evidence, more family secrets exposed to sunlight. By noon, both our parents were in custody, and Peter was negotiating a plea deal. He's offering names, Director Thompson told me. Other families running similar operations. Says it's a whole network. I thought about all the dinners, all the family gatherings, where deals were made and schemes were planned. How many other families had been destroyed by this network? Sarah spent the day helping me sort through documents. Look at this, she said, holding up an old photo. Remember this vacation? It was our family at the beach, 15 years ago. Peter was showing off his first sports car. Mom and Dad beaming proudly. Sarah and I stood off to the side, already outsiders in our own family. The car was bought with stolen money. I told her, from his first insurance scam. What happens now? Now we build something different. I showed her the plans for the victims' center. Something honest. My phone buzzed again. A message from Mom's lawyer. She wants to talk. Says she has information about other families involved. Don't go, Sarah said. She's trying to manipulate you again. But I had to go. Not for Mom, but for the truth. The detention center was cold and sterile. Mom sat there in her designer clothes, looking oddly out of place. Michael, she started, reaching for my hand. I kept them folded on the table. Just tell me what you know. Your father, he didn't start this. His father did. It's been going on for generations. Family helping family. You mean family stealing from others? We protected our own. She leaned forward. Everything we did was to secure our children's future. By destroying other people's futures. By teaching Peter that fraud was acceptable. By watching Sarah struggle while you sat on stolen millions. Mom's facade cracked slightly. I did what I thought was right. No, you did what was easy. Right would have been stopping it. Like you stopped it. Her eyes hardened. By spying on your own family. By wearing a wire to Sunday dinners. Yes, I stood up. Exactly like that. Back at the beach house, Sarah had ordered pizza. We sat on the deck, watching the waves, and trying to make sense of our new reality. Peter called from jail, she said. Wanted me to testify that he was under Dad's influence. That he was a victim too. And, I told him to rot in hell. She smiled slightly. Felt good actually. My phone lit up with news alerts: Sullivan family fraud network exposed. Multi-generational financial crimes. Ring uncovered. FBI agent brings down own family in massive fraud case. You're going to be famous. Sarah teased. I'm going to be busy. I corrected. The Victims Center opens next month. Need a director? She asked quietly. I've got experience with being victimized by family. I looked at my sister. Really looked at her. The strength that had gotten her through years of waiting tables. The resilience that had kept her going when her dreams were stolen. The position's yours if you want it. Agent Martinez called with an update. Your brother's plea deal revealed 12 other families involved in the network. We're moving on them now. Sarah listened to the details, taking notes, already planning how to help the victims. You know what's weird? She said after I hung up. I feel more like family with you now than I ever did when we were all pretending to be perfect. Maybe that's what real family is, I suggested. Truth instead of pretense. Support instead of schemes. As the sun set, we watched new agents arriving, setting up surveillance on other suspects. The investigation was growing, but something else was growing too. Something honest and healing. My phone buzzed one last time. Director Thompson, committee wants you to testify next week. This could change how we handle family-based financial crimes. Sarah read the message and smiled. Ready to tell the whole story. Ready to help others tell theirs. The waves crashed steadily as darkness fell. Tomorrow would bring more revelations. More arrests. More families facing their own ugly truths. But here in this house by the sea, something true was finally taking root. 3 weeks into the expanded investigation, I stood in front of a Senate committee, outlining what we now called the Sullivan Network, a web of family-based fraud schemes that had operated for generations. We've identified 17 families across 8 states, I testified, operating in coordinated patterns of financial fraud, insurance scams, and investment schemes. Total estimated damages exceed $300 million. The committee room buzzed with whispers. On the screens behind me, photos of prominent families, including my own, displayed their public faces of success and respectability. During a break in testimony, I checked my messages. Sarah had sent a video from the newly opened Victims Center at the beach house. Their first support group was in session, with 30 people sharing stories of family betrayal and financial destruction. "You should see this," Agent Martinez said, handing me a tablet. It was footage from Peter's latest prison interview. He'd become a cooperating witness. Though his motives were typically self-serving, these families, Peter was saying, we all knew each other. Country club meetings, charity galas, vacation homes. That's where the real business happened. Trading victims, sharing techniques, protecting each other. I remembered those gatherings. The whispered conversations, the handshakes, the knowing looks. All while victims like Sarah lost their futures. My phone rang. "Director Thompson, your parents are ready to talk. Really talk this time." The prison meeting room was cold. Mom and Dad sat together, their designer clothes replaced by prison orange. They looked smaller somehow, stripped of their facade. "We want to make things right," Dad began. "By giving up the others?" I asked. "By telling the truth," Mom corrected. "All of it. Starting with your grandfather." The story they told stretched back 50 years. My grandfather, the respected banker, had started it all, teaching families how to exploit trust, manipulate relationships, hide crimes behind respectability. The Richardson family in Boston, Dad explained. The Hunters in Chicago. The Caldwells in Atlanta. We all learned from each other, improved the techniques, passed them to our children. Like you passed them to Peter, I noted. "We thought we were teaching success," Mom whispered. "We didn't see what we were really teaching." Back at the beach house, Sarah was finishing the day's support group session. The room was full of people. Victims finding strength in shared experience. "Mr. and Mrs. Richardson's daughter is here," Sarah told me quietly. "She wants to talk to you. She's been gathering evidence on her family too." Jessica Richardson, 29, had her father's confident stance, but her eyes held something different. Determination for justice. "I have everything," she said, handing me a drive. "Every meeting, every transaction. I've been documenting it since I figured it out 3 years ago. Why come forward now?" "Because of you," she replied simply. "You showed it's possible to choose truth over family loyalty. To stop the cycle." My secure phone buzzed. Agent Martinez, Richardson family under surveillance. Boston office moving in tomorrow. Within days the arrests began. Prominent families across the country watched their carefully constructed images crumble. Country clubs emptied. Charity boards dissolved. Trust funds froze. Sarah handled the aftermath at ground level, turning the beach house into a hub of recovery and reformation. Victims became advocates. Children of arrested fraudsters came forward with evidence. "It's like watching a generational curse break," she observed one evening as we watched the sunset from the deck. My phone lit up with news alerts. Family fraud network continues to unravel. Society families face federal charges. Legacy of lies, America's fraudulent families exposed. Director Thompson called with an update. Congressional Oversight Committee wants to create a new task force. Family Financial Crimes Division. They want you to head it, using the beach house as headquarters. Sarah added. She'd been in on the planning, combining investigation with victim support. I looked at the building that had started it all. Once a symbol of family manipulation, now becoming a beacon of truth and recovery. Jessica Richardson joined us on the deck. "The Boston arrests are done. My parents, they're cooperating. More names, more families. Are you okay?" Sarah asked her. "I'm better than okay." Jessica smiled slightly. "I'm free." That night, I reviewed the growing evidence wall in my office. Photos of families connected with red strings, documents showing decades of coordinated fraud, faces of victims finally finding justice. Peter had sent a letter from prison. Dear Michael, I finally understand what you meant about real family. About truth. The others here, the ones like me, we're all realizing what we lost by choosing lies. Peter, maybe he meant it. Maybe not. The truth would show itself in time. Sarah's support group had grown to include children of the arrested families. People choosing to break the cycle. To build something different. We're creating a new network, she explained to a reporter. One built on healing instead of hurting. My phone buzzed with another update. Agent Martinez. 3 more families identified in Miami. Similar pattern. Multiple generations. The investigation was expanding, revealing how deep these roots of deception went. But something else was growing too. A movement of truth tellers, cycle breakers, healers. Director Thompson visited the beach house, watching the support groups in action. You've started something bigger than you know, he observed. We've started something honest, I corrected. As night fell over the ocean, I thought about legacy, not the kind my grandfather had built through lies and manipulation, but the kind Sarah was building now. Truth, healing, change. My phone lit up one last time. A message from Mom. I understand now. What you did. What you're doing. Make it mean something. Looking out at the waves, I realized it already did. Every person finding courage to expose truth. Every family choosing integrity over image. Every victim reclaiming their story. It all meant something. The investigation would continue. More families would fall. More truths would emerge. But here, in this house by the sea, something new was rising from the ashes of what we'd burned down. Something real. 6 months after the initial arrests, I stood in my office at the newly established Family Financial Crimes Division, reviewing the final statistics of the Sullivan Network case. 23 families prosecuted across 12 states, $427 million. In recovered assets, 842 victims. Identified and supported 3 generations of financial fraud exposed. The Beach House, now officially the Sullivan Center for Financial Recovery, had become a national model. Sarah's victim support program was being replicated in 5 states. My phone buzzed. Director Thompson, turn on CNN. Peter was giving his final testimony. Before sentencing, he looked different now. The polished facade stripped away. We justified it as family tradition, he was saying. Called it protecting our own. But we were just thieves in expensive suits, destroying other families to maintain our illusion. Sarah texted, Mom and Dad's sentencing is tomorrow. Are you coming? I hadn't decided yet. They'd cooperated fully, helped break open 3 more family networks, but some betrayals run too deep for easy forgiveness. Jessica Richardson appeared in my doorway. She'd joined our task force after the Boston arrests, bringing unique insight into how these family networks operated. The Miami operation is ready, she reported. 3 more families identified. Same pattern. Country clubs, charity boards, private school connections. Like looking in a mirror, I observed. A mirror we're finally breaking. The support center was hosting its largest group yet. Over 60 people, including former perpetrators choosing to help victims recover. The cycle of deception was breaking, replaced by cycles of healing. My secure phone lit up. Agent Martinez. Congressional committee approved nationwide expansion. 10 new centers funded. Sarah had already started training directors for the new locations. Many were children of arrested families, choosing to rebuild differently. Remember when this was just about stopping Peter? She asked that evening as we watched the sunset from the deck. It was never just about Peter, I replied. It was about truth. Mom's lawyer called. She's written everything down. The whole history, starting with your grandfather. Wants to publish it as a warning to others. Maybe that would be her redemption. Exposing the entire system. Helping others recognize the patterns. Before more families were destroyed. The waves crashed steadily as night fell. My phone showed one last alert. Sullivan Network case leads to national reform in financial crimes prosecution. Looking at the center's lights, reflecting on the water, I realized some things had come full circle. This house, once meant to be Peter's next fraud scheme, now stood as a beacon of recovery. Sarah joined me on the deck, ready for tomorrow, the sentencing, the future. I looked at my sister, stronger now, helping others find their strength. Sometimes family is what you build from truth, not what you inherit from lies. The ocean kept its steady rhythm, washing away the old, making space for something new to rise. Something honest, something real. The end.